The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of PGGM Internet Radio and its management. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests are the views of the individuals expressing them and may not reflect those of the host, the show, the management, or the station.
All right, y'all. Welcome to another part of Talking Points Talk Show. Last time we end up doing a lot on religion and principles and things about religion. Woo! Which got kind of thrown to the side some kind of crazy way. But anyway, we're here now ready to talk about government. And we did have somebody in here earlier that wanted to hear what Mr. W was saying about government. And he is not in here anymore because he put down in the comment, when were we going to start talking about the government and the politic arena, because that's what he liked. That's what he liked to hear about. So hopefully he'll get back in here in a little while. That he can hear what Mr. W may be able to share with me, because I certainly want to hear what Mr. W might be able to share with me. I'm talking enough about religion this morning, and I love the Lord with all my heart. But hey, we supposed to know what we supposed to do religiously, really. We supposed to know what we're supposed to do as Christians, and we shouldn't have to spend all day and a year on talking about it over and over the same thing, especially when some of us have accepted and we know that he is. We're supposed to do all that for people who have not accepted, not spending time trying to redirect the ones who already know what they know. All right, Mr. W, welcome to the house.
Well, Princess, your radio show is yours.
Yes, sir. Well, anyway, we're away from the radio part now. We at the talk show part now. So what have you heard that we haven't talked about already with what's going on with the current administration in the White House, as well as the president-elect and his cabinet picks, and what he got going on, or what he plans to have going on coming up?
Well, two things I've picked up is, number one, his cabinet picked some of them. I'm not sure which ones. They haven't brought that out in detail yet. We'll be meeting with Senate representatives.
Okay.
So I guess that is to kind of like determine if they want to even consider confirming them or not.
Okay.
Number two is DT said that he was going to pardon the January 6th rioters on his first date.
Okay. Hello, Michael. We do talking about our religious stuff. We're going into our politics. So the first day he's going to pardon who for January 6th?
The January 6th rioters, the ones who were charged and convicted and went to jail.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be the best thing for him to do, since it was his fault. I think that would be what he needs to do, really, to be honest. Not that I agree that they didn't deserve some punishment, but since they have served some punishment time, and since it was his fault, that might be the best thing that he can do concerning them. Not saying that we agree with what all they did, but I mean, why not pardon them? What's your thoughts?
I've always followed this one thing that everybody was supposed to be following, that is, no man's above the law. And if we start practicing no man above the law, like we already are with him, DT, and the rest of the world is probably going to look up and say, that's a lawless country. We can't trust them.
Well, that's true. I can't disagree with that more. The other one that's up in the news, I agree with Biden pardoning his son. If you're gonna pardon anybody else, and then with DT out to get him, and DT out to get everybody who ain't for him, don't you think it'll be a wise thing? Because really, I was under the impression that I didn't think his son had been convicted or anything, but the way they was talking, I was under the impression that he had been convicted, and now he pardoning everybody. Now he wait. I was under the impression that he had been convicted, and so he needed to pardon him of his charges for the last 10 years. But from what I understand, all that stuff is still under investigation and alleged. So, but that's good that he put a pardon where whatever he go up, whatever come up in the next 10 years, his son won't be charged for it. So, for the last 10 years, his son won't be charged for it. I think that was a good idea, especially since all the presidents supporting people when they are going out. Now, you said he going to pardon them on his first day, but can he pardon them on his first day, or do they have to wait till they are going out? Because I was under the impression from what somebody told me today or the other day that the pardon takes place when they're going out of office.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of things happen that we say can't happen, but it does happen. So I really don't know. But let me add to the Biden situation with his son Hunter. I would have pardoned him too, for the simple reason is, first of all, that case that Biden had already been taken care of. He had paid his back taxes. He was on their program. He had made a deal with the situation like other people who are on drugs and, violate, those type of laws, right? Because what he violated is like, 1 in 10 million in the United States. So lots of people violate those type of policy he violated. What happened was the reason why Biden pardoned him, and I would have pardoned him too, is because they went back, dug, and tried to find something else to try to make a case out of that, to get back at Biden. That was the whole purpose behind that. That was all over. This guy had paid his back taxes and everything. That's all out of the picture. But yet they were trying to get him somehow on something. So then they finally, of course, got him on that little, poo-poo charge. When he, got that little thing when I guess he was on drugs or whatever. And they got
on substance.
They had already.
We can't say the word D on substance.
Okay, well, substance then.
Okay.
Well, anyway, on any case, that case had already been decided, closed, and everything, and he had made a deal. They went back and said, no, we don't want that, and targeted. That's what that was about. So yes, I would have pardoned him. Now, on the other side, if he had actually went out there and done some nefarious things on his own or whatever, and all those other factors didn't play a role, he was just a straight out criminal or whatever. No, I wouldn't have pardoned him, even my own son.
And so I kind of figured that because my daughter come up in here talking about what the people saying. And if Biden pardoned his son, he ought to pardon all the other people who have D charges and all the other people who gone to jail for M charges. And I'm like, hold up, it's got to be more to that than this. And especially because they were saying, a lot of them making a big deal out of it because they claimed that Biden said that he would not pardon him. And so that was one of the things they were saying. But yeah, you can say one thing, but then when you look at the circumstances, because like somebody said yesterday when he said that he didn't think for 1 minute that DT was going to be the president again. When he said that, they say he made a statement that he wouldn't. Let me see. All right. They didn't think, he didn't think that DT would be the president when he made the statement that he wouldn't pardon him. But since he knows DT is the president and they're going to go after him, like you said, and that is what they're doing, like you said, putting up some old, trying to make a molehill out of it. So he going to go ahead on and go 10 years back and pardon him that he can't be charged. So yeah, he was supposed to do that, like you said, especially if it wasn't something that he just went out there and did that was so terrible and new. Yeah, I'm with you. So people need to know. That's why I asked you. That's why I got you on here. You and Manuel. That's why I have y'all on here. Because see, y'all be keeping up with that stuff and y'all know what be going on. While people just be talking a lot of talk, you know.
Well, people talk a lot. I mean, they say a lot of things. And first of all, when Biden said that in that context, you just look at the whole context. People have a habit of just going in, extracting one or two lines or a word or whatever, and taking it and forming it the way they want to make it fit their narrative of what makes them feel better. But if you look at that whole context, he never really absolutely excludes the fact of a pardon. He basically put it the way that if he's guilty, he's guilty. Okay, that's basically, he didn't use those terms, but basically the way the context was formulated, if he was guilty, he wouldn't pardon you. But there were other circumstances, might dictate something like that. So that portion was still open. And that portion that came open was when DT was reelected.
Okay. I follow you. Yeah, so, okay, it was stipulations in that. Yeah, there was a reason why he said that. But like I said again, and like you said, but being that DT is the president and being the fact that he ain't no guilt, like you said, there's nobody else or what he did already been handled or whatever to a point, and to make sure they can't go back digging up anymore on that same instance, he went ahead on and pardoned him. So I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree that that was the exact thing that he needed to do, without a shadow of a doubt. No ifs, ands, and no buts about it, So yeah, so that makes a difference. Can you tell me what's going on with our girl Better Butter?
I haven't heard anything from her in a while. I've tried to contact her over Discord. I don't know what's going on there. And I haven't talked to anyone else who talked to her.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I need to let some music play while I answer a work call, okay? Yes, sir. Okay. Did y'all take a picture of it? Okay, did y'all take a picture of the label on the box? She don't need that label on the box. So out of the 20, y'all had 10. Yeah. Okay, so when I get to the office, I need you to look at the take a picture of what's in the box and tell them what's and all the children that sing the same. Oh, how I'm glad about that. So to have Jesus. Oh, yeah. Just living with you. When the doctors can't make it, Jesus will take it. Your friend that's with you until the end. We sing, oh, how wonderful. Y'all got off at 12 o'clock. But you don't get off at 12. You get off at 12. Yes, I'm living. But when you get to the office, but tell Buff to right up there that will listen for us and tip out. Now when the storm wind blows and you feeling low, take his hand and walk on through. All right. I'm back, Mr. W. All right. So, what were you saying when I had to go to that call?
Hold on just a second here. I got another sound on. Let me turn it off.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. W is helping us out today on that issue when they said that Biden pardoned his son. And so, from what I'm hearing Mr. W said, and from what Mr. W know about the whole situation, that he was in right standing to pardon his son. You still busy, Mr. W?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. See, that case had already been handled, as I mentioned earlier, right? And he had made a deal, and the Republicans, went back and tried to dig up something else. And that deal was, I guess, a package where he had to go through some type of rehabilitation, and just different things. I guess it's a part of the process what they do in those situations. But the Republicans didn't like it, so they, went back and tried to find a point to make a case out of it.
Okay. So a bunch of foolishness is what it was, and a bunch of picking to try to hurt Biden, just like
Exactly.
you said. So
exactly, that's what it was. But look, here's the thing. Let's face it. You've heard it. Most people out there have heard it. Maybe some accepted it, maybe some didn't. But they have been telling people they're coming at them. They've been telling them all the time. Cash Patel's been talking. In fact, right now, Cash Patel is getting ready to meet with some senators. Cash Patel.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. He's getting ready to meet with some senators because, Trump trying to put him in a high position.
The DT. DT.
Right. Well, DT trying to put him in a high position.
Uh-huh.
And they're meeting with him now, I guess, to pre-screening.
Okay.
But he was out there talking all that crazy stuff about they had a list. And all these people they were going at, and they were going to persecute all these people and so forth. And, the crimes that they committed against the government in 2020, about stealing the election, all kinds of stuff.
What? He had all that stuff that he was accusing people of. They had all that stuff that they was accusing people of.
Yeah, they're going to go after stuff. Now, here's the thing that people were discussing. How are they going to go at it? Am I going to try to find something, try to find a law, try to find something they broke, or make up something? How are they going to do it if they don't break a law? If they didn't break a law? Whereas opposed to, don't forget, the people in power are the ones who are, by textbook law, broke the law.
Okay.
Yeah, Patel, DT, and all these people in power, they are one by law, by textbook steps, broke the law.
Man, and without a shadow of a doubt that they broke the law by textbook status.
Went through court. All the evidence pointed to it. They got charged.
Oh, they got charged. Okay.
Yeah, so when all that goes through, come on. What does it say? If, you go to court and all the evidence and everything pointed against you, and everybody say, okay, well, we sorry, but all that says you did it.
Yes, indeed. And then they will. Oh, that's gonna be some going back and forth, huh?
But they are in power. Don't forget.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me see if I can formulate this another way for you. Okay. The criminals who were committing crimes were caught, convicted, okay, and was waiting the sentences. However, in the meanwhile, something changed and they got power. So now the criminals are in power over the ones who actually investigated them and found them to be guilty or contributed them to be guilty in all evidence and took them to court and got them proven. Now they are under the criminals.
Whoa. Oh Lord. That's messed up right there. Now those people got in power because of DT's election.
Well, yeah, he's they ain't in power yet, but he's trying to get to him in power. He's trying to get him.
Oh, so those are the ones that he's trying to get approved.
Yeah, including himself, because he's been convicted too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But I thought he was automatically approved once they let. I thought he was automatically took off the hook when they let him run for president.
He automatically did what?
I thought he was automatically off the hook when they allowed him to run for president.
Yeah. Well, basically he is. That's what I was saying. Is that he is the one that's now who was under, the justice system under control, was about to be convicted and sentenced, and then something happened. That something happened is he became president.
Yeah, but you still got enough people up there, and Biden is steady appointing people on the local levels. So I'm under the impression that can still help somewhat, right?
Yeah, it'll help. It'll help. I mean, there's going to be help in a lot of areas. There'll be helping probably, maybe, hopefully there'll be a little bit in the Senate. Hopefully there'll be a little bit in the House. And then, of course, hopefully we'll get some from the career government workers who he's talking about firing them all because he knows they got to follow the law in the books. So he's talking about firing them all and hiring new ones. I guess hire someone who won't follow the books and the law. So there will be some resistance. The question will be, will it hold up, or will DT and his team figure out a way to crush it using lies in the Supreme Court, like they did up until now?
Right. So there's some serious stuff going on right now, man. But
it's very serious. You know how serious it is, Princess? It is so serious that other countries are reforming their militaries and their governments and all kinds of systems just because of this. And they started this before he was elected. Before he was elected, they started this. They were saying, we're going to prepare just in case he won. That's how serious it is. When you see other countries starting to take action because of that, then you know it's serious.
That is something else. Man. And you saw this in the news, and you know without a doubt that these people started to try to get themselves together because they knew it was a possibility that he might win. And if he win, they knew, just like these people that he's choosing right now, they saw that in the coming. And so they started to try to take action in their countries before he even got elected.
True. I mean, they put it out there. They reported what they're taking action. They didn't go into a whole bunch of details. They talked about things like that they're going to reactivate their draft. They are looking at changes in their government policies and their economic policies with us. All kinds of things they're looking at. They put it out there.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, now, when they put it out there, that means they want the rest of the world to know what they're doing.
Right.
Including us. Yeah, I mean, we're part of the rest of the world.
Right.
So when they put that information out there, they knew that we would see it and the rest of the countries would see it. And there are many countries out there who are aligning with them against us in that situation.
Yes, indeed. And it looked like after a while, instead of us protecting Israel gonna have to protect us, huh?
Israel, no. Yeah, Israel got some problems over there on their own. Because right now they just went on to the DMZ and Syria, on the border with Syria, and reportedly they have gone a little bit deep inside of Syria. And then the United States are actually conducting, or have already conducted, 75 airstrikes at ISIS inside of Syria. So there's a lot of activity already going on there.
Man, I tell you, shoot, when they talk about wars and rumors of wars, look like we sitting all up in the middle of that kind of stuff, huh?
Well, I'll put it this way. We are like in a situation where you have an amber and the wind is blowing on a little bit, but it really hasn't blown enough to make a full-fledged fire. But the wind it looked like it's beginning to increase a little bit.
So you don't think that before he get into office that nothing like martial law or none of that gonna be put into force, huh?
You mean martial law here in the United States?
Yeah, to stop something or to stop him or something like that.
Well, we don't really know that at this point. And look, and if something like that was in progress behind the scene, we wouldn't know about it anyway. They're not going to tell the public.
They're not gonna tell us.
No, they're not. They wouldn't tell the public if they had something like that planned behind the scene, their current government, because that would give the other party a chance to react and counter it.
Okay. Yes, indeed.
They have to make sure they got all their I's dotted and T's crossed, in other words. And then if that happened, if they had something in progress and planned, then they would initiate it. And guess what? The resistance would be very low then because they have crossed all their T's and dotted their I's.
Okay. That's deep right there. Because it could happen because I know, was it you telling us that is it Korea? Where you told us, where did somebody tell me that they had decided martial law? Was that you?
Yeah, that was all over the news. That was in South Korea, but they have changed it, got their voting, their Congress was equivalent to our Congress together, and they have resolved that issue for right now.
Oh, so they have avoided theirs for right now.
Wait, they had it temporarily.
Okay.
But we've had it too now. We've had martial law in the United States.
Now you said that's been in the past though. Not
yeah, but it's been in times like in my mother's time, my grandparents' time. They had martial law in the United States.
Okay.
And if someone you know somebody was born probably you probably have to be born like say 1950, 55, 60, they probably wouldn't know. If they were born in that era, they might even recognize it. They probably saw it, didn't know what it was. Martial law was when, like, in the southern states, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, and all those states, they want black kids to go to white schools. Remember that?
Right.
And they didn't want them to, and then they sent the troops in.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Okay, now here's another one. Voting rights, the same thing. Remember the civil rights leaders of Philadelphia, Mississippi?
Yeah.
From Detroit. And that was not only, it was about those three because they were one that, group that went down there kind of like in advance, helped set up stuff. What happened to them, and then everybody was supposed to follow. They sent the troops in there.
Okay.
So we have used it before. So you can use it in a carve-out situation, or you can use it on the whole country.
Okay.
So
yeah.
it depends on what the situation is and what they find out. Now, for example, if the president's behind the scenes, say, you know what? And they got concrete evidence and everything that this is a planned takeover right now, and they know this for a fact, then they might do that.
Okay. So, about the immigrant situation, what's the latest on that?
What do you mean about the immigrant situation? You mean about deportation?
Yeah, is anything going on at the border right now?
There's some activity going on. From what I understand, down near the Rio Grande, Starr County, they have already started the process to either get the land or start the process on building deportation camps.
Okay, so I overheard allegedly that some man in Texas was going to sell them a certain percentage of land to.
That must be the same thing we're talking about. That must be in Starr County near the Rio Grande.
Oh, okay. Is that in
Texas?
Texas?
Must be the same thing.
Is that Texas?
You're right, Starr County, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Near the Rio Grande, that's in Texas. That's near the border.
So they are talking about getting some land there to what? People that's about to come over or people that's already here that they're going to try to take there?
No. What that is going to be for people, they go deport, kick out, send out, try to get out of the country. And that's going to be like a temporary holding station. Like, in other words, if you get picked up and you got a final destination, or you don't have one, or they're trying to find you one, they'll put you in there until they get you a final destination.
Okay.
If they get you one. If they get you one.
Yes, indeed. That is a bunch of craziness to me.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Things like this has already happened before in history. People have already seen it. They know what happened in these situations because they know how the process works and how people behave. In WW2, the same thing happened. Exact same damn thing happened. The only difference was that administration was telling the people that, as a whole, that they were moving these people to like work camps.
Okay.
Well, some of these people realized that, that was some BS, so they started trying to get out of it. And some of them were able to get out, through other countries. They were smarter ones in the beginning. And then after they got to a point where they got so many of them, people, they had to try to figure out how to get rid of them, and they couldn't. And they had a big meeting. I think it was in, I'm not sure, it might have been in Austria. Anyway, they had a meeting, and the United States was at the table, and they all refused to take in these refugees, these immigrants, even in the United States. Then, after they saw what they were doing with them, then they decided, we're going to open the door and put, quarters on them, let so many come in, let them escape, even though they know what was happening to them, because they were actually unaliving them at that point. Now, they had a list of people they were looking for. They didn't just go out there and just pick someone, whatever. I went to the museum and saw the list myself. Somebody said, they got a list over there in the museum, an original list they got a copy from the Nuremberg trials.
They had a list up in California?
No, the Nuremberg trials were in Germany.
Oh, you thought that was a long time ago when you was in the military?
Right. What I did was I went to the museum to see that document, which they had with the list of people they were looking for.
Oh, okay.
And on that list, I saw the museum. I saw it with my own eyes. I went in there with, this is about the Holocaust and everything, and they probably gonna have a whole bunch of different types of Jews on there, right? That's what I thought. I saw that list. The first thing on that list was
what?
Black people.
Wait a minute.
And Jews.
It just said black people and Jews. That's the way they worded it. Black people and Jews.
And now they had one black people, number two Jews. They had it tabulated by numbers.
Oh, talk about who they gonna start off with first, second.
Who they gonna pick up? No, I didn't say that. The people they're gonna pick up, they're gonna pick them all up. Those are the people on that list.
Black people.
Those numbers don't really mean anything, because if you were black somewhere and they saw you, they were gonna get you. If you were Jewish somewhere and they saw you first, they were gonna get you. If you were, say, GAY, they saw you somewhere, or transgender, you were someone who was of another religion they didn't like, whoever, they were going to get you. It didn't matter. You were just on that list. That list was just tabulated to let everybody know who was on the list, not how they were going to do them. However, blacks were the first somebody on that damn list.
Yes, indeed.
Right. Well, see, in Europe, they saw this, and they saw what happened when those people got supposedly deported or sent to these work camps or whatever. Well, the history we all know now. In any case, they see that same parallel right here. What's going to happen when if they ship, say, 3-4 million people to a deportation camp somewhere in Texas or somewhere, out in the middle of nowhere, and have to take care of them at the same time, and then can't ship them out?
That's crazy.
Yeah, what's the next step going to be?
That is crazy. But I know y'all talked about how some of the countries of the people they talk about deporting, some of these countries have to pay something y'all call tabs. So it's tabs, whatever y'all call it. Is that something like a tax?
Okay, hold on a second to that. Deportation and immigration and goods being transferred across international borders or any border are two different ball games. Okay, they're two different ball games. Number one, the way tariffs works is a tax. There's lots of names for it. One is a custom tax, or some people just say customs. If you travel across an international border, to another country,
Uh-huh.
and you carried something with you from one country to another country, at the airport, or it depends on why you do it. If you do it online, you have to fill out what you are going to declare if you have anything to declare. In other words, if you're going to bring something up, goods or whatever, products, over a certain amount, then you have to pay a customs on it. For
Okay.
example, if you buy something, say if they say your limit is $100, I say you $100 you free, we don't worry about it. So, but if you get there and they find out that you had $200 worth of something in there, and the limit was $100, then you got to pay $100 of tax customs on that $100, and may have to pay a fine for lying.
Okay.
Okay, now if you're a business in another country, let's say you're a business in any of those European countries or Asian countries or whatever, shipping product back to the United States, which are actually produced by companies from the United States established under those laws in those countries. Some of those products. That's why you hear about business going to China, but they still have to follow their laws. Anyway, say they produce a product for $10. That $10 include all their research and production, paying the employees, their executives, covers all the expenses, including it also has a small reserve in there for them to, to be able to continue that business. In that $10. Now, you want to sell that product for $10 because of that. So now it comes to the United States. Where the United States, if they got a zero tariffs on it, zero, then the wholesaler will buy it for $10.
Okay.
Then he will add his amount on there. Okay, say that may be $5. That'll make it $15. Then he'll move it to the retailer, like where you go buy it at, where you go shop at, those stores, grocery stores or whatever, right? They may add what their costs are. That's another $10.
Okay.
Or another $5. So that means that product is $20. That's with zero tariffs. Okay, now let's go back another way and put a tariff on it. Let's say that same product has a 50% tariff to make the calculation easier. Okay, that'll make it, for that wholesaler, he'll have to pay $15 in instead of $10. Then when he move it to the retailer, that's another $5. That makes it already $20. Now the retailer got to add their cost to it. That makes it $25. You see what happened? It boosted it up 5%. So that means they're paying 50% more for that product than what it actually costs.
And one thing about it, people don't want to pay no extra tax or tariffs or none of that. And
yeah, but it does enough. It impacts something else too. On the other side of that country that's making that product, that's sending it, because that those tariffs is going to make it more expensive, so people are going to buy less of that product.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, they're going to sell less. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to look for another market.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, because you look, we're only 5% of the whole world population.
What? Who only 5%?
Of the rest of the world out there.
Who's 5%? The United States of America?
We're only 5% of the world.
I know you telling the tale.
No, what you thought we were?
I thought we had more than that, but then when I look at the world map, I guess.
No. You can't be looking at stuff like, look, you gotta look at that. There's over 8.5 billion people on this planet.
Ooh, Jesus.
We are about 335 million.
That's all?
That's not that. Look here, that's a third of a billion.
That's all?
That's all.
And everybody want to come to this little country, and
no, that's not true. Everybody don't want to come to this country. My own kids won't live here.
Oh Lord.
And they are Americans. My kids live in Europe.
Yes, indeed. So do they treat people better?
They'll come for vacation. They'll make contact with a few of their relatives and cousins and so forth. And after they do that, they with me for a while. Where they back?
Excuse me. Is that bad? This country is that bad?
Look, don't forget they got situations over there that they don't have to deal with. Number one, a major stress factor. Over there, they don't have all those pew-pews on the streets.
Okay.
They don't even have in England. The police don't even carry them. They have reactionary forces in the backup somewhere, but you don't see them on the streets. So that means that people feel a lot safer.
Okay, so
just that one factor right there.
So you said in Europe they don't carry hand equipment.
The people don't have that stuff like they have here. We got what? We got more than half of the world pew-pews right here in the United States.
So that's why when these people running for president and all these office, everybody wanting them to take away the people pew-pews and the people going crazy. You ain't taking my pew-pew and blah, blah, blah. And that's why they was against the Dems, because they feel the Dems want to give a lot of stuff out to people. But when it comes to the pew-pew, they want to take all they hunting pleasures and all they stuff.
Well, it's not about hunting pleasures alone. Because look here, when I was a kid, they didn't have all these pew-pews. People didn't have all these.
Because ain't that many people hunting, huh?
Yeah, they just had what they needed to do whatever they wanted to. Like my uncle, and his friends or whatever, they just had what they needed for that purpose, and that was it.
Right.
Right nowadays, you see some of these systems they have out here?
Nah.
Oh, they got systems come out here, they can fire you up like 100 rounds in about a minute.
Yes, indeed.
All kinds of stuff, right? And they're everywhere. They're not just in one thing. Then they got the ones you can make on your own, the plastic ones, through the what they call the 3D printer, which is actually a miniature CNC machine. Okay. That's all kinds of stuff here that didn't used to be here.
What?
Yeah, it didn't used to be here. That stuff didn't used to be here.
And
money
people were safer.
Money brought that stuff here.
And people were safer when all that stuff wasn't here.
Exactly. They were safer as a whole.
Yes, indeed.
You see, and that's why in Europe they learned from that. And this is why they don't have them.
Okay. So
and another thing that Europeans learned, it adds to the healthcare costs.
Oh, talk about when you got all them pew-pews? Talk about when you have all the pew-pews?
Yes, ma'am. Think about what happened. Just think about it for a second. Give yourself a minute to think about it.
Well, just right off the hand, I feel that there are more casualties and more people hospitalized from people having them. More people.
That's beside the people. That's beside the people who are unalive.
Right.
They all generate costs.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Somebody got to pay something for all of them. Doesn't matter. Unalived or alive.
Okay.
Okay. Because there's always got to be autopsies and all kinds of stuff, right?
Okay.
So all that stuff got to be paid for.
Correct.
That's a large number here in the United States.
Okay. That makes sense.
In Europe, they eliminate that number. That number is minuscule. You don't even see it in their charts because when something like that happens, it's so seldom, man. It's almost like a shock.
Awesome. That is awesome. So what you're saying in Europe, people just about, even though people have gotten more evil and wicked, people can still just about not lock their doors and don't have to worry about nobody coming up in there robbing them or anything like that.
Well, let me put it this way. They don't have to worry about like the stuff that we got over here, the magnitude of people robbing them and stuff like that. That's minuscule. But what they do have to protect themselves from, because that's an international community and the political situation and circumstances impel a lot of it, and that is terrorism. You don't want to be somewhere and a terrorist be able to use your house to hide out at or something.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so I mean that might not happen, but let's say you don't want to be in that situation. So yeah, you got your door locks and everything, protecting your property. You got but you ain't got you don't have properties with gated communities and stuff like we do here in the United States. You don't have a lot of that. You have a few of them, the ones that got a little bit more money. And castles sometimes castles are open.
Okay. That is something else. Now in Europe, do they have free health care?
No, it's not free. Nothing is free. It's how they manage their money. Because look, if It works the same way it does here, just how they manage their money. All the money here in the United States that the government manages comes from the people. Government doesn't generate any funds. Okay? I mean, there's a small portion of the government that generates funds, but most civilians don't know about that. And that's called Army Air Force Exchange Service. And that's like a big shopping system that supports military forces and government personnel around the world. They don't know about that. They can't make a profit, and they have to put that money into the system. But that's not, a lot compared to what they get from the people. So the government itself doesn't generate funds to pay for all these bills, pay for health care and all that stuff. It comes from the people. Okay? Over there, they understand that. So the way it works is they make it easier for the people because their philosophy is we work to live. We don't live to work. We work to live. So what they do is they got the system set up that everybody pays a little bit into it, like you do here in your healthcare system, right? You pay in, all together with unemployment, healthcare, and everything you pay. You pay about 30% out of your taxes, depending on how much you make. You make a lot, okay, it's a little bit more, about 30% out of all your money for all that stuff. So when you go to the doctor or the dentist or any physician, you just go there and give them a little card. You don't have to come out of your pocket and pay nothing. Okay? You don't have to pay for like the medication or something. Now, there may be some cases where, depending on what that office is, if it's an outlying office or something, they might say, you got to pay €5 office fee. Other than that, that's it. Same thing with the dentist. When I was there, I go to the dentist, I didn't pay a penny. Okay? My kids, they go to the dentist, they don't pay anything out of pocket. But they pay into their system. Now, education, same way. You don't have to pay to go to college because you pay it into the system.
Wait a minute, hold up. So you said for, bring that back again. You said for
to go to college.
No, but before you went to go to college, you said to go to the doctor, to go to the hospital. How did you say?
You do not have to pay out of pocket.
So what kind of system you pay into? Is that the same thing as government tax? Like we pay taxes?
Yeah, it's kind of like here. It's a basic system with different names. Okay, it's the same thing. Like that Social Security program is going to have a different name. There are other elements where the money is managed. It has a different name and so forth. But that's how it basically works there.
Okay.
Okay. And the same thing with education. That's why they don't pay to go to school. In fact, kids get paid in some cases to go to school.
Wait a minute. They don't pay to go to elementary school, or they don't pay to go to college?
They don't pay to go to any school.
Okay, so they got colleges over there in Europe like they have in the United States?
You got colleges. They got major universities over there. They came from over there. Universities came from Europe. They didn't start here.
Okay, well, why are you saying that about Europe? Tell me this, because I'm naive. I promise you, Mr. W, that's why I got you on here, to teach me stuff that I should probably know, but I don't know. But they got universities in Europe, just like they got in the United States. Do they have universities? Because I know they have exchange students. So that's what it means when they say exchange students, because I kind of wondered about that. So when you have exchange students, that's like, even for Africa have universities?
Everybody got universities and school educational system at different levels, of course, but there's exchange programs going all around the world with China and Africa, Russia, and all over the place.
See, I never really.
It's actually a change of academic collective knowledge, is what it is. I attended the University of Stuttgart in Germany myself.
Okay.
My master's is from the University of Stuttgart in Germany in Germanium and fine duct technique.
But is that just as credible as the United States universities?
Yeah, just as credible, it's more credible because here's the situation. I had to graduate from American University just to get into there.
You had to graduate from a who just to get in there?
An American university. I had an American degree just to get into that European university.
Well, why you have to have an American degree to get in there?
Because our standards are not as high as theirs. Like when you graduate from high school there, it's like an associate's degree already.
Oh, they didn't taught them much more than we didn't learn?
Look, they've been around a lot longer. They've been had universities before the United States existed.
Okay, so we're going back to when we talk about the 1700s. Okay, bring me back up to. I studied this in school, but I ain't never thought about it no more. When did the United States start with the Columbus discovery and stuff? What year was that?
I think that was like in the, if I'm not mistaken, like in the, I think around 1400s or something in that area.
Okay, so the United States been existing.
1492. I'm not. I don't really try to keep up with these timelines that I don't need them. If I need them, I look them up.
So
if I need them, there's too many of them. I go look them up if I need one.
Oh, okay. So that's how long the United States been in existence, but they haven't had universities that long.
No, they didn't have universities that long. Universities started coming in the, I think in the 1800s, 1700s, 1800s, around there somewhere. Look, I grew up in one of the town with one of the oldest universities.
Oh, okay.
Northwestern, a Big Ten university, Northwestern University. It's in that same conference with Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, Minnesota, Penn State, Nebraska, even USC and UCLA in there now.
Okay.
That's a alignment of a whole bunch of old universities go way back. My high school was built in the 1800s.
Okay.
When you see my high school, you think it's a university, but it's not because.
And that's in California.
No, that's in Evanston, Illinois.
Yeah, you did tell me that you was in Illinois.
It's on the lakefront, north of Chicago. If you take North Chicago across Howard Street, you'll be on Chicago Avenue. And once you get Chicago Avenue, there's a big cemetery on the right side, a big fancy cemetery. And once you get past that, that's all on the right side of that lakefront. That's all Northwestern University and some neighborhoods in there. And I grew up in that area.
And see, that's awesome, Mr. W. And I just appreciate God allowing you to come through my past, which I mean, a lot of people know some of the stuff. Like I have a cousin who has traveled, also the one that got her doctor's in theology. And like she always said, like your children, it's good to take the children from out of the hood and out of their cities and let them see that it's a whole world out there. And everybody don't live in the property like people in the states do, or people in our communities do, because their parents are unlearned, didn't have the opportunity to learn because of the slavery deal. And to just think about the United States itself, and now they're trying to go back, has only been out of real true slavery. I don't know when the 4th of July and all that stuff and the Juneteenth took place. I don't really know what year. I mean, I can research it and see. But even with that, we still did not get free from really the slave mentality of slavery until almost ain't free from it yet. But I'm saying in general, in the system, until the 1960s, right when I was being birthed or after I was birthed, is when we really start to get the separation, get the togetherness, and get out of the bondage of slavery. And about that same time is when, right before that, is when black people are doing the Martin Luther King time, and even a little before Martin Luther King, that's when black folks really start to learn on the doctorate degree level and the education level. But in other countries, that's so outdated for people as a whole. Tell me this. In Europe, did they have, in some of these other countries, I'm just going to say in general, did they have the slave mentality that America had?
Well, let's go way back in time. Okay? Way back in time. Now, I don't know if they had any slaves or not. I know that, like, say, in some places, like in England, they had black servants, but they had other type of servants, Indian servants and whatever. So that might have been just a job. But what I do know is the core of racism roots back to that point and maybe farther back. And how we know that is because long time ago, there was a term that they used in German. And it's in German, it says, Habt keine Angst vor dem schwarzen Mann. That means don't be afraid of the black man. What that meant was people were alerted to the black person when they saw him, and automatically, if they heard that in their head, don't be afraid of them, they was probably wondering why, and they became afraid. So that's basically the root of everything as far as that hatred element is concerned in slavery. Now, as far as the slaves itself, that's a financial thing. That's a transactional thing. It's just that it's a zero to profit thing. You know, the slaves get nothing. Well, they don't get zero. They get food to eat to work, but the profit is zero, and the owners get the money. But because of that element, which they created the word race, I'm not sure when that was exactly, but that was it's been reported and written that it was back in the 1400s. It could have been farther back. I know the mustache man, they say, wrote about it. Say, you know, it's a good word to use because it works. And what race was supposed to do was separate slaves from whites, not based on skin color. At that time, that skin color thing and that word became more active and more usable. And today, that's racism.
Okay. Well, I know that slavery was in the Bible, but I know that God still didn't condone injustice in slavery. And from what I'm understanding, and if you study that and you really look up into that, there was different reasons why people would become a slave. I'm understanding maybe from not paying a tax, and then you was enslaved to someone, I guess, to pay your debt or whatever, which is still similar to servant, but they still was not to brutally beat you until they unalive you. But if you was disobedient, they were able to beat you. But from what I understand, and just looking in the godly sense, God still was never the author of that, and he's never the one created that. That was created by mankind to even start the thing as slavery in the beginning. And like you said, a money thing, from what I'm hearing talk about, even back then, before the people went over there and captured people, and then you hear somebody say, well, but it was the black people that captured them. But what you gonna do if somebody got a gun on you and telling you to go catch these people?
Well, first of all these people out there talking about what happened, I can tell you 100% positively that they don't know what they're talking about. And you know why I know that? One simple common sense element. They weren't there.
Okay.
I can also tell you positively that I don't know because I wasn't there. However, if you talk to some of those people from those countries, they can tell you things. Now, don't forget, they're also getting it from their ancestors and their grandparents and so forth. Okay? And I've met lots of Africans from different countries in Europe. I had many of them that, you know, who spoke French from Cameroon, ones that spoke English from Congo, from Ghana, Algeria, Morocco. I mean, I know so many Africans over there. There was quite a few of them on the University of Stuttgart in Germany. One of them was a guy going for his PhD named Evang. Really, really brilliant guy. And we used to meet up with an American professor from Harvard University named George Brown, a black professor, as you call exchange. He was an exchange professor from Harvard to Tübingen over there.
Okay.
And sometimes we would meet up into the what they call a men's, is like a cafeteria, and we would just have a conversation, drink stuff, you know. And I learned a lot in those conversations. And one of the things I learned is that all this history and everything that reported in America on how slaves came here, a lot of that stuff is not even close to being true, based on what they say.
Okay.
Okay, now, exactly what happened, they'll tell you too, they don't know. They got it from somewhere else too, from their parents and their change, but in their country. Now, there's some history there, but all that history is not written. And a lot of that history was covered up because, you know, and after the people found out that might have been not too good, people tried, you know, they covered up their trails, you know. So we don't really know what happened. What we do know that happened is it happened.
Right. We know it happened, and we know what happened after they got over here, though.
Yeah, we know some of the things that happened. We don't know all of them, but we know some of the things that happened.
What the ancestors said,
Two forms of history. There's unwritten history, and there's written history. Okay, and under both of those, you could have misinformation.
Right.
Right, but you only got two basic types. Now, I get a lot of unwritten history from my side of the family. You probably do too on your side.
Right.
Right. Now, what I can do is, in my side of the family, they always try to line it up, with some type of timeline with some relative in the family who had contact, and on and on and on. They try to, connect the dots so you get a good understanding of it. That's how they did it. But written history, it writes something else. Like, for example, we had a relative who was, very active in doing things out there scientifically and so forth. They covered that up for a long time and eventually came out.
Okay.
So we don't really know what happened because of those two factors. All we know is what was reported from then and up until now and what's going on now.
Right. And like you said, maybe my grandmother, your grandmother, and different one what they went through and endured.
Oh, they know that because they did it. I know my mother. My mother was a civil rights activist. My grandparents were, and they marched. They marched and they met with a variety of top ministers around the country. So, they were actively involved, but their purpose was to be able to vote and have civil rights, equal rights. Same thing it is today, basically.
So no matter how you look at it, we can't change the fact. However they went over there and got them, however it happened, they did not treat people like they were supposed to be as humans when they got here.
Exactly. That's in a nutshell, basically. They were not treated humanely. Okay, we could conclude to that is logical fact based on what's been reported and what we know.
Okay, so what you know about Europe, how were people ever just completely in the same kind of slavery as here?
Well, no, not exactly, but I guess in the beginning of the time before the industry started to develop, and they had a lot of poor people until they come up with some type of system to be able to get it to working. So every country had problems. They had to grow. Now, all the details about all those places, even the people in those countries don't know all of them. It's just in certain places. And what I found out is, like in Europe, the most of the time when you find out something is when you go to a town or something and just stay in that town for a couple of days. And, if you converse with some of the people who talk to you, you learn a lot. And this is what happened to me, like in Graz, Austria, down on the border of Hungary, which is now ran by Orban as a dictator, and Austria on that border there. I found out when I was there that was the hometown of Schmittler.
The hometown of who? What's the hometown of who?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, okay.
Also, Tesla. I found out a lot about Tesla there. Tesla came from somewhere in Persian exactly. They don't really know where. I mean, there's lots of reports. But he studied magnetic in functions and their capabilities in Austria.
Now, who's Tesla? And why is he important?
Tesla is the one, the name that Musk uses a lot.
Who uses a lot?
Well, Musk.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like the car is called Tesla.
Okay.
Okay, for example. Anyway, today, everybody think that, Tesla created everything. I mean, your young guys, like, say if they I don't know, probably maybe 50 and younger, 60 might be, I don't know, I'm not sure. But anyway, they all think that based on this information and everything, that Tesla created everything. There are even stories out there that Tesla stole from Edison, or that Edison stole from Tesla to generate electricity and all that stuff. Well, what they don't know is, first of all, Edison was way before Tesla. Second of all, Edison created the telephone, the record player, lights, and all kinds of stuff with some black assistant he had that helped create the vacuum. All that stuff. He had one problem, that was with the magnetic field, trying to figure out how to get, various households and various places the electricity that they generated. And some company here in the United States, I can't recall the name, anyway, challenged them and wanted to bring it out early. It didn't work. Some people got killed, so it got delayed. And to make a long story short, Edison discovered Tesla in Austria. And by this time, Edison had an institution, a scientific institution in France. So he put Tesla in that institution to study how to help with the magnetic field. This is why we have these transformers. We can have, electricity moving house and building. That's how that happened. But information got it. You'll have people that tell you the story the whole other way around. They don't know. But see, I was in Graz, Austria. I talked to a lot of that. I was through there multiple times. I used to be patient and hungry. So that's how I know that. I even went to the museums there, to the city hall. They call it the Rathaus. I saw a lot of things there that I said, wow. I saw a lot of things in those other areas, which I didn't mention either. But, this is how you learn. And this is how you know when people know or not, when you've actually been there, when you personally experienced it.
Yeah, I can tell when I talk to you that most of the things that you talk about, you've either talked to somebody that was related to it and know more about it, or either you've been in that area and picked it up in the spirit, or just picked it up in educational wise, or you've read up on it.
Well, see, Europe is very educational. If you visit a town, even though the smallest one, the first thing that people want to do is introduce you to their town.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the first things you want to do is tell you about their town. And one of the very first things in that process is most of those villages over there at that time had their own beer breweries or cognac breweries or schnapps brewery, make whiskey, alcohol or something, right? Beer, wine or something. And that would be their top thing. So they would invite you to a glass of that.
Okay.
And during that conversation, they would tell you a little bit about the history of the town.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to, you could eat something. After you ate something, you could walk around and go to some of these points. They walked a lot. They were very educationally oriented. So that's why you would learn a lot.
All right. Baby,
I got shocked one time when somebody took me to the sea between Germany and Switzerland called the Boden Sea. And near there was a place where the Neanderthal, where they had preserved when the Neanderthal had built a house over hundreds of thousands of years ago. And they saw it and they kept 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 it there. They changed it and made it a little stable because, weather and so forth, but they kept it.
Okay.
And that was a learning experience for me. A Neanderthal, to that point, I didn't ever think about what a Neanderthal was.
That's awesome now. Oh, that's history. And that's culture. And I heard you say earlier, which shouldn't have been surprising, because you have something like that. Because you know what? I hear people talk about the Native Indians. Maybe you can help me with that since your parents are Indian. As far as I'm concerned, this continent, America, so they said when Columbus got here, the Native Indians were here. And I heard somebody in a video that they had out here that I read, and I said, yeah, that point, that's what I'm talking about. How people gonna be claiming a country and want everybody else to go back somewhere, but I never understand the story of Columbus discovering America either. If they talk about you had somebody already here, so how is you gonna give him the credit? Or that was and then I also hear people talk about that America had been discovered several times before they recorded it by the European. So the Native Indians, as far as I'm concerned, I don't even believe they native from this country. I believe everything came from over in or where the Bible came from, where the Bible is written in. I believe every human being, every human life migrated from across the seas over there in the Middle East. Now, at what point, and what year, and what date, since it appears that the only ones that appeared at that time was smart enough up in the United States to record stuff, was European. Because even in Africa now, you hear all these people who want to claim their African heritage. They go to talk about they done did research millions of years ago, so they defute the Bible and all of that because they got a religion of their own. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on all this extra stuff?
Well, first of all, you're talking about who was in the United States and Columbus discovered America. Okay, well, there's two perspectives. One perspective is when you see something you didn't know before, you say you found something. Okay.
All right.
You use that in general term. You do that too, probably.
That's right.
Even though it was already there.
That's right.
It was already there, but you say I found that, but it was already there.
Okay.
Okay, now, in that prospect, when they sent Columbia to America, or when he came, they said, wow, look what we found. So that's the term that came out. And then that word evolved to discover. It's a synonym. But basically, it doesn't mean that they found something that was brand new. It means they found something that was new to them.
But how would they go and put that in the history book?
Well, that's just the way it goes with time. But let me go further back. Scientists. I'm going to connect science to it. Now, this may run parallel with the Bible and then not, but I'm going to start from America, and then I'm going to go back to another point and bring it back. And this is how I'm going to do it. Scientists say black people are already in America, and they've done that through, studies here already, way before Columbia.
They say who was already here?
Black people. Some black people. Some black people are already here in this continent before Columbia, way before Columbia.
Okay.
Okay, now that they say they got evidence on that. Scientists, you can look it up and see when, what date or whatever. That's one point I want to point out. Okay. Number two, scientists also point out data that man, scientific through genetic studies all the way up to now to develop, because those are signals. You can run this parallel with the Bible if you want, created by God, that life evolved its first appearance on land was in Ethiopia in Africa. And then it spread out through Europe, and then eventually, Europe, and then I guess some other parts of the world and so forth. And all of them that they didn't really know, because I guess in the early stage they went different directions, so they didn't know each other. So when they engaged one another, they thought they had discovered something new, or they didn't know what it was, or they knew it looked like them. And eventually, after a whole bunch of conflict, they developed into society. Now that's just a short, brief generalization. You can go and look the details, all that stuff up if you want to. Okay. Science got evidence. They can point to it. They can take you to laboratories and show you the evidence. It's not like they say, hey, we got it. They can show it to you.
So what you're saying here, though, evidence said, according to what scientists have found, the first real human man is dated back to Ethiopia.
Okay, yeah, it started evolving then. Now, here's something else that most humans don't know. People always talk about genealogy, right?
Yeah.
When you do a genealogy study, you only go so deep. You only go maybe 3-4 generations.
Okay.
Maybe 5, maybe 6 if you love it. However, if you went all the way back, you go all the way back to Ethiopia, because the human body is proven to be scientifically 99.9% DNA compatible, which means it's all the same. That 0.01%, that's your hair color, your eye color, your skin texture, and some other elements in your body. That's all that is. That is scientifically provable. And for people who don't believe in science, don't want to understand science or whatever, scientists can prove that to you. They can take you into a lab and prove it to you.
Okay.
They can start with you and prove it to you. And take you all the way back.
So how about this philosophy that some scientists, I ain't gonna say scientists, I don't know who they are. The life you talk about was an Ethiopian over there in the eastern land. But some of them want to study the ape.
Well, yeah, because that look. Here's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. When Mother Nature or God or the Creator created life, It did things that weren't necessary for life to know about. It was creating life. For example, if you create something, whatever you're creating, why should that know about what you're doing to it?
Right.
Okay, it shouldn't. So through that process, you can look up the DNA chain. If you want to, you can look up your DNA compatibility with an ape or a monkey or a dog or a cat or a plant. Life is one big thing connected, branched out into various different species. You're one of them. And then those species are split up into sometimes two, or male and female for reproduction purposes. And then some of them, they can reproduce themselves. Like they got animals in the sea, that reproduce themselves. They don't need to be two.
But most people have a problem with accepting the fact that instead of the evolvement of all these different DNAs and all these different other places and people, why do men have the hardest time believing the concept of God just coming out of nowhere, according to Genesis, and forming the man and the woman from the dust of the earth, and then, without anybody else input, forming each individual animal or species, as you said earlier, himself?
Okay, let me see if I understand you correctly. Why do man have such a hard time with understanding the fact that God created man and woman and Adam and Eve and so forth, right?
As he says in the pen book.
Okay, as he said in the book. Okay, I can explain that one to you from my perspective, from my experience with my family. We worked on what my grandmother said, there's always a triangle. There's always a triangle. We know that there's a triangle. Now, maybe more, but we know there's a triangle. That triangle, number one, is connect from Mother Nature to you. From Mother Nature to another person, or more than one person. And then from you to one of those people. So now, one of those people took something, what they perceived, and put it into words. Put it into words. I read it. I got two options at that point. I could go purely on what that person wrote, or I could go back and go to my direct connection to Mother Nature and see if they align. And if they don't align, then I'm going with the one from Mother Nature. If they do align, then I'll say, okay, that's good. If some parts of it align, I say, okay, that aligns, that align, and that doesn't align. And this is why people have a hard time accepting that, because it does not fit into a scientific realm of the DNA spectrum. It's not provable. But it is provable that we were born. So that proves that Mother Nature's there. Science can prove that too. We all can prove that. And man has a hard time on accepting things that are obviously provable as opposed to things that are not obviously proved because of his being comfortable, being peaceful, and being, in a little easier operating realm that he's in. Because sometimes man thinks it's harder to understand a thing that really exists when it's not.
So what I see is that I understand and I hear them talking about the science. I hear them talking about Mother Nature, and I hear them talking about the species, and I hear you talking about how the expansions could go and could be when you do the science on the on different things, and do the science on the body, do the science on the animals, do the science on the this. However, on another sense, when you talk about miracle, and when you talk about God being a miracle, and God being a miracle and a creator, miraculously, that's not going to always line up with science if he tells you right in the word that everything is a mystery and that it is a miracle. It don't have to necessarily line up with Mother Nature, because from what he said, he created Mother Nature. He created everything. So I can understand what you're saying, how people's sensitivity is and how people go by basically signs without going by the printed word. And as you said, somebody had to write it. But God also covers all that in the Bible. He said the Bible was written by individual men, but it was inspired by a holy entity that cannot be explained. So I can understand what you said, how some just can't wrap that around their head, especially when they're educated, because everything got to have when I say a precept upon precept. But from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing in the Bible, God covered all that. He even covered the 7 day span when he had the scripture that comes out of Peter about how many days, one day is a likened unto God. So everything, creation itself, everything, the stars in the sky, everything, he tells you he did it in the scripture. Oh, but of course, they upset because King James wasn't this, King James wasn't that, he wasn't fit. But he also tells you that in the scripture, that the word is going to be true, even if it come out of a hellish mouth. It even tells you in the scripture that the word was, what was it saying? The word is without the repentance of the world. But then it tells you about Jesus. It tells you about how he came. And I know your family, even though they do more of Mother Nature, or you do more of Mother Nature, they still believe, like you said, in how you been, and they still believe in God because, as you said, they went to and for helping churches, establishing churches, building churches, and I don't believe they just did it just to do something. They just believed in the higher being. But the Bible lets us know that he's God and we're not. Even in the story of Babylon, even in the story about him kicking Lucifer and the third of the angels out of heaven, that tells us right there that science is good. And science is good for the natural man and the human mind, but it ain't got nothing. It can't stand no kind of way with God. I'm just saying. That's what I received from it. Like you said, that's me because I just have accepted the report. And I've learned not to debate it or not to try to do no lot of extra research. And one reason why I've learned that, because like you said, science gonna be able to prove stuff that you can look at. But when it comes to God, you just gonna have to do like his Bible said, like Jesus told Thomas, you believe because you can touch my side, because you got hands on. But blessed are those who believe who have not seen. And to me, that comes down to us. It comes down to this generation of people, or this comes down to just life itself, is that the only way to trust God and really believe in God is just to simply believe. And then he gave us a guide, a roadmap, which is the Bible, that don't tell you every detail. As they said, some books were mixing, some books didn't make the cut, or some books was unnecessary, because I think in the Bible, all he's trying to do is get you to believe that he is, and that he is the creator, opposed to science being the creator. Now that's a hard thing, like you said. So okay, I guess now.
Hold on a second now. Hold on a second, Prince. I think you're getting a couple things mixed up. One, the word science means study. It's limited. It only takes you as far as you can find out evidence to take
okay,
further.
I got you.
That's all science is.
I
got
you.
Put it together and they use it. Now, everything around you, even this phone, your house, your clothes you wear, the food you eat, whatever you do, is connected to science because there's a study preceding that. All these products, everything.
Okay.
The car you drive. Okay, now, however, science is based on, number one, like everything else, on a need-to-know basis. If science doesn't need to know it, they don't even pursue it. Okay, now, Mother Nature already told mankind that, because Mother Nature created all these things that man can't find out. And the reason why man can't find out, because man don't need to know that.
Right.
Mother Nature or God or the creator gave man what man needed to know.
That's right.
Here with us, right within this planet, the things that we're using, the things that we can prove that are using, the things that we know that work for us, the things that we see we've improved on, and so forth. Mother Nature gave us all that power. Now, that power goes to an extent that most people can't understand.
Right.
Electronics.
That's right.
You know, people wonder, well, how is Mother Nature getting into electronics? Where the hell you think we got electrons from? Man, they just like go out and say, oh, I'm gonna make some electrons and make them.
Come on now.
Okay, they were there, and man saw them and figured out then how they could be used and saw the impact of them, and that's why you and I are talking right now.
Right.
And that started way back with
Natasha.
Edison. And that started way back with Edison. So it tells you how long it takes for something to actually evolve and improve to a certain level. But that tells you how long it takes just to understand some of the elements that God put here for man use, that man can use within this planet, which means there are a lot more out there we don't even know about.
Right.
So what everything else out there about who created the creator and the created and what was before all that stuff, the reason why man can't know that is because it's not meant for you to know.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. But most men can't accept that, though. Most men cannot accept that. They want to know. If it exists, they supposed to know. There ain't no such thing as they ain't supposed to know. You know, they feel that they supposed to know. They got to know. One moment, Mr. W. Hey, Dre.
Hello, good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Dre, I never asked you, how old are you?
52.
Where are you from?
Baltimore, baby. Be Ravens on, baby. What a question.
Oh, so y'all team doing good?
Yeah, we doing all right.
Oh, okay. Are you spiritual or you not?
Not that spiritual that I be quoting the Bible, but I.
You just believe that there's a higher being or there's a God, huh?
Absolutely. I pray to him every day. Thank him for everything I got. Thank him for my son.
Okay. Were you raised up in a spiritual home?
I was very much so. My grandmama took me to church every Sunday.
What was the denomination?
Baptist.
Okay. Well, you good old Baptist. Good old Baptist. You good.
I appreciate it.
Well, me and W, we was just talking about creation, and well, really, we talking about politics because he's very knowledgeable about what be going on, and I'm trying to, and I'm praying that I live to see these next 4 years, and I'm praying that we still have the social media, and that I can do this talking points each day and keep up on what's going on, what's in the news, who's signing what laws, who not signing what laws, so I can better understand what's going on, and not just in the White House, but here local. I'm gonna have to bring some people on who can help me out local. But Mr. W, since he's a scholar, between him and this other friend of mine's Manu, all I gotta do is tell them what I want to know, and they might go read it for me, even if it's on my Louisiana local government.
I just want to know, is he really going to get rid of the people that's not American? Is he really going to get rid of the ones that's supposed to be citizens?
Oh,
Is he really going to take them away too?
well, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep talking about it. I understand Mr. W shared with me earlier that it's in the news, and somebody else talked about it the other day, that there are some people already, I guess some people who want everybody gone, but them is already got land up in some part of Texas that they are willing to either sell them or allow them to use to put the people in holding. But then we understand that some of the countries that they're trying to ship back people to, they are fighting it and saying that they're not going to let them come in because it's going to cost too much money with something called taps or something.
Understand.
Terps. Say it for me, Mr. W. I'm trying to talk about something that you know that I don't.
You mean tariffs?
I got you.
The deportation itself was not directly connected to the tariffs. It was the tariffs that DT had threatened on Canada and Mexico. And the new president, who's a female in Mexico, said no, and she came out and gave a hardcore speech and told him about the immigration and so forth. And she said, one of the things she said was, okay, if you want to attempt that, then we're going to find all Americans here in Mexico and send them back too.
Oh, wow.
That look like, okay, so that's how
y'all take y'all and we take ours. I mean, long story short, that's what it sounds like. You don't want to think and trash much as you want to. That's just the house. It should have been that that easy because remember they were trying to trade the Russian for America. Like, why they make it so easy, but that was so difficult. It was negotiating for like months. Like y'all couldn't just say, look, y'all want to go home, want to go back. Like, what if some of them want to go back? What if some of them do want to?
So Mr. W, how could we know that woman not finna try to do all that, but she said she'll do that if he do that. So what's the moral of that, Mr. W? So how would that pan out?
Well, first of all, don't forget, she's the president of Mexico. So he can't just go inside their country and do what he wants to do. He can't just ship people through their borders unless they allow it. Okay? And if, for example, she decided to take the ones from Mexico, ex-Mexican citizen, and take them back, then she could get non-Mexican citizens who are American and say, hey, we're going to deport you too. That she's the president of the country. Her administration, her cabinet and her Congress kind of works like that. It's possible.
So it'll be a big chaos, right?
Well, it's definitely going to be a chaos. It always has. If you go way back to WW2, when they tried that time, it was a chaos too in the beginning. And you know what that led to, because they couldn't move the people like they thought they were going to be able to move them. Mm-hmm. Then they found out that housing the people, caring for them would cost too, so they decided to go the other way. They eliminated all that altogether.
So which way they decided to go? So which way? So in WW2, which way did they decide to go?
Well, you know what happened in the Holocaust? They thought unaliving people.
Oh, okay. And
because they built up so many of them, they couldn't, ship them all out. Other countries weren't accepting them. They had a meeting. I think it might have been in Austria, it might have been in Switzerland. I'm not sure, but anyway, the United States was also at that meeting, and they all rejected, just letting them, immigrants flee from that area at that time.
So who started unaliving?
Hold on, Princess. Later on, as they saw the situation developing and all these people and they noticed in the reports all these people being unalive, they decided to go back to the table and set quarters to let some of them out. But then it was already too late.
Right.
Okay, are you familiar with that, Dre?
No, I'm learning this,
Okay, see, that's why we got Mr. W over here, because we need to learn. Because I done heard of World War II, I done heard of World War I, and I wasn't sure what the doggone they was fighting for. I done heard of Desert Storm. I ain't been sure what they was fighting for. Because, we as some of us, especially us from the lower end of the barrel, it ain't the half of the stuff we always been poor anyway, so we ain't really matter about all that stuff that was going on in the political world. But now I want to know, and I want to let my people know, and I want to let them know, why voting may be important and, various stuff like that, because it's some stuff out here going on that we don't be having the slightest idea of what's going on and what's happening. And we definitely need to know about these things. But
well, one thing, Princess, I can tell you is this. One of our core problems within the country, the American society, is in most countries around the world, they know this. In Europe, they know this because they even split the language, American English and European English. They have Americanistic and they have English. Two different master's degree, graduate degree curriculums they have in the study of language, which means that was way back in the 80s. So that means they started studying way long before that. So this is what some of the things they found out in the American form of communication. Americans, they stick to too many labels too quickly. They get engaged in a conversation, and the conversation become about two parties instead of the subject matter.
Okay,
it's about to prove who's right and who's wrong instead of finding out if that subject matter has any validity to it or a fact that they're discussing.
Okay.
Therefore, when they get in all these different engagements, it arouses emotions, personal anecdotals, and all kinds of stuff, and it prolongs the communication process. And then in the end, most of the time, they don't get the point across. So therefore, you don't communicate. Nothing happened. It was just a lot of words exchanged and so forth. This is one of the core elements they say what hurts American communication at the level. Now, the higher levels, they use this too to a certain extent, but they do it in a different way. They'll take these words, like Supreme Court or Congress or whatever, and they'll twist them a certain way and try to give them different meanings.
Okay.
And that's all confusing if you look at the American language and how Americans communicate as a whole. And I know this for a fact because I studied it for a while just for myself, based on a question a guy asked me. He said, go and look at it deeper and look at some of these communications across the board and social medias, newspapers, and so forth, and see how they conflict and what happened and see what you see mostly. Right? And I went through it and I saw it. I said, damn, yeah, this would be kind of hard to understand what's going on. So I understand why you don't understand what's going on.
Excuse me.
Because that message never got to you in clear form. None of those messages.
Right, and that's why I got you over here, you and Manuel, because I need to get some clear form, because we just voting for folks and arguing with folks, and then different folks out here are talking about make America great, and this one, that one out here not liking the other one, and this one here out here with this, that, and the other. It's time out for being stuck on stupid to me.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question. Just think in your mind back of all the times. How many times have you heard the people discuss in detail and hang with that narrative until they come up with some plausible, workable solution or envision or possible solution on healthcare?
You haven't heard none of them folks sitting up there on them different newscasters either. They just want to make news.
Hold on. Let's don't put this on the newscast. I'm talking. This is the people thing here. The people are the largest number. They are the power of the country. They may not know it. Collectively they are. Okay, that's why we have elections, because they are that power. How many conversations you hear between the people? Because that's where it comes from. It's not going to come.
But Mr. W, look at it like this though. I was on all these platforms for this election here. These people were too busy trying to throw everything at DT about the Project 25 till they still missed a whole lot of stuff. And they did more, and of course he got up there and said he wasn't, and then the people who was following him believed what he was saying, and they just believed that the people were saying all these different things about 25 was just against him and just was trying to hurt him, just had them plagued him with something that he said was not true. So
well, look here.
We didn't spend enough time in really breaking stuff down and just talking for real talk.
That's exactly what I want to point out. Here's the thing I noticed. This is why I'm saying the message didn't get down to the lower, to the bottom portion of the pyramid effectively enough, clear enough, right? Because the message was out. Because when they broke down Project 25, some network, not all, they didn't carry it all the time. They carried it in like 1 hour segments, maybe that was a 2 hour segment. When they actually broke that project down, all the way down, explain all those elements of it. The question is this: how many networks carried it? How often did they carry it? Okay. And number three is how many people watched it that got the message and were able to communicate it further to people at the, further. That's the problem.
Okay.
But it was out there. That's the problem right there. That's what I was
saying. But I'm hearing you, Mr. W, but I don't know if that should have been the message that they should have been sending. That I think that they could have won better if they just would have stayed with January 6th, and that they would have just stayed with his character and not even put Project 25 in it at all. Because
Project 25 was good, Prince, because it pointed out some things like what they're going to do to people's living standards, Americans.
That's what they pointed out.
Like Social Security, like your pensions and your pay.
But Mr. W,
things they're going to do to their jobs.
But Mr. W, right now, those people are still denying that they said they were going to do that.
Of course they are. They were going to deny it no matter how you brought it. That's what they do.
Okay.
They deny it. I mean, that's what they've been. Look, for instance, haven't you noticed they've been lying the whole time?
I hear what you're saying, but the people who voted and the people who are still waiting, they still yet do not believe that. And some of them only believe the part about some of the portion, and they don't believe the whole thing with the portion of people who are here that's in process of getting their citizenship. Those people still believe that they're going to be spared. So they still do not believe the whole. That's why I want you to be here all the way. We can't really talk on it as much now until that person is actually in office. That's all I'm saying, is because even though you all are so familiar with these other people who have worked in other areas, I'm not. And having the people who voted for him and having the people who voted, period, are not familiar with these people. And so it's on a selective few of you all. And I mean a selective few 100,000 that actually see what's going on. But the whole United States, you said it's got 1 million or so in here. A lot of them people still do not see it. They still don't understand it. They still don't understand how crucial these things are. And then now that he's president-elect and he's not in the office yet, you all are able to come and help us and kind of give us an idea of what some of the people that he's selected and trying to get through to be on his cabinet. You all can help us see that they possibly will go for dictatorship. They possibly will go for this because y'all are familiar with them. But do you know it's got a world of people out there, and some of them still on these platforms that supported him, still have faith in him, that he's going to turn this country around and that he's not going to do all that stuff that is in Project 25, which me, myself, I never believed he could do all of it. And I didn't know what part of it he was going to do. I just never believed one man could make everything turn like that. But listening to you and listening to others and seeing how, as you said, other countries have made things happen. They have changed things around because of one person. So I know anything is possible. And I know even me loving God, God can still allow things to go left and not go the way I would desire to go because of whatever he might be trying to do or show people or show America or show the ones who voted wrong or if they voted wrong. But most of the people still that has not registered, and that's why I do want you to talk. That's why I do want you.
Princess, I could add this to that. Okay, two things. We know, number one, what they said. Number two, we know what their actions are. If we compare the two, if their words align with their actions and their actions align with their words, then we know what they're doing. All we can go by is what happens. Number one, we know who he's trying to appoint to his cabinet. Okay, now we can check the track record of those. We can see what they see, what they support. That's how he's building his team, because not one man. And then you got to look at Congress, the Senate, and the House. Here's another thing we know. It's been reported. They're already inquiring or may have purchased it. We don't know for sure yet. Land in Texas, in Starr County near the Rio Grande, for supposedly deportation camps. Okay, now those are the things that's been reported. So that's an action that we can follow. What comes next, we don't know, but we will know, and we're going to know more, especially when these confirmations come, because these guys are going to be drilled. Therefore, I would recommend if you're really interested, you watch these confirmation hearings.
Okay. Well, actually, I know I don't necessarily have time, but I know you and Manuel and some other people that be on these platforms are going to watch them. And that's what I want to hear from. What happens like you're talking to me now, and you're breaking it down and saying that you have watched the track record of some of these people because you keep in touch with this. So, yeah, you can say it, and I'm hearing you. But a lot of these people, we are not still convincing. And like I said, I'm not going to say I'm not convinced. I know anything can happen and God can allow things to happen. But I know I'm praying against him allowing certain things to happen. But at the same time, like Manuel said, it takes more than just prayer. You got to go to your legislatures. You got to go to your governors. And when you see things about to happen in your area, or when you see things that the president is going for, if you really, 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 truly want to be advocate of it, or you sincere, or you on that level where you can write a decent letter to try to get somebody to stand up for what you believe in, where you can go ahead on and do that. And much as I don't want certain things to happen, I'm not qualified to sit there and really write no good letter that somebody would pay attention to. So I would have to call somebody else and ask somebody else to write the letter on my behalf.
Well, maybe you have somebody who can write the letter. There's a gentleman I've been looking at on the screen here named Michael P.A.
Michael ain't gonna write no letter either.
Well,
I listen
to him. I'll block my Mike and let you talk to him because he might have something for you.
No. I know who can write the letter. You can write the letter. You and Manuel know how to write the letter. Now me and Michael, we more on that spiritual level, and we know when we see something ain't right. But as far as to write the letter and conduct them, I don't know Michael's smarts. Michael can write a letter, but I know I can't write the letter. But I know I can say what I want and what I don't want, and I can ask somebody else to present the letter. Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
All right. Trying to get a feel of the room.
Oh, well, we done went through church this morning, almost church debate, but it didn't turn out really to no church debate. But my son come in the room and he caught himself trying to protect my platform, and it kind of got out of hand with him and Kathy. But it's going to always get out of hand with him and Kathy. And then if Kathy's on the platform with me because of how she take her stand, it's probably going to always be controversial between she and I. And so I think Muslin's just saying that, hey, when the host feel a certain way and the host starts to talk or start to stop you, stop, because the host will let you had your say. Now the host is going to have their say. And 1 out of 10 is going to be a little bit contrary to what you said, because the host does not believe in people that feel that they are on certain levels with God and others are not. But we are all walking in this thing together trying to make it in. And some of us are it's not as, I ain't gonna say we're not as committed as others. We may be committed, but we just don't see it in the same thing. Like I say this all the time when it comes to me and what God has showed me. If you believe and you accept in your heart, thou shalt be saved. And you can work out your soul salvation, but that's not what's going to get you into heaven. What's going to get you into heaven is the mere fact that you accepted him. Now, you working out your soul salvation and doing the right things, that's going to give you a better life while you are waiting till his return, or while you are waiting for your departure. That's going to give you a better life. That's going to make you feel better about yourself. That's going to make you feel better about your relationship with him. But that's not going to make you get arrived. That's not going to be the reason you're going to go there. That's not going to be the reason you're going to get in. That's not going to be the reason that he's going to accept you. The only reason he's going to accept you is that you said he was your Lord and Savior, and you really believe it in your heart. But now, since you believe that, you're going to start to walk like you believe it the best of your ability. But even in all you're doing, every now and then your thought life is going to be wrong. Every now and then you may even falter in your flesh or in the area. It don't have to be a sin. It could be just backbiting. It could be a fight that you shouldn't have had, unforgiving spirit. It could be a whole lot of different things. It could be lust of the flesh. It could be lust of the mind. It could be so many things, but you're going to have those things going to come. I don't care how deep you are, how many tongues you speak in, how close you say you are to God. Something going to be in your members. But thank God for grace. Thank God for mercy. And thank God for his loving kindness. And that's my stand. Don't care who it is or what. And ain't no use to trying to change my mind on that, because it's not going to be changed, because I have that relationship with God the Father myself. And he showed me that. And I went through the process of getting upset every time I made an error, because I wanted to make 100 on my own. And I know I can't make 100. So when I don't make 100, of course, I'm going to say, Lord, I thank you for your grace and mercy. I ain't going to say that I'm going to repent, because I repented when I got saved. And he condemned the world when he went on the cross. And when I accept him, he said, thou shalt be saved. So I already know I'm saved. I ain't got to agree that I got to get saved again. I just got to agree that I'm saved by the blood of the Lamb, and that my sins have been blotted out. and they have been hidden because of his love. And so it's no longer me, but it's still that little person in me that sometimes calls me to come short. But then it's got another person in me, which is the Holy Ghost, remind me that you just messed up. And I got to say, thank you, Lord. I thank you for your grace. I thank you for your mercy. And I thank you that I'm not counted out because I made an error. And that's where I stand. Don't care who says different. That's where I stand. So to try to keep telling me the same thing over and over and to try to make me be where you at, for me to try to make you be where I'm at, I'm not going to waste my time trying to make you be where I'm at. I'm going to tell you where I'm at. And I'm going to tell you, if you say you're saved, and if you truly accepting him in your heart, if you erred yesterday, just get up, brace off, and say, Lord, I thank you for your grace and mercy. Help me to do better. And keep on rolling. And you're on the way to heaven anyhow. And that's my stand. And I'm not going to change that.
Well, you sound like you crossed all the I's and dotted the T's. I could just sum it up by saying this here. If God didn't intend for us to make a mistake, he wouldn't put a erase on the back of himself.
And then he wouldn't have sent his son Jesus. So he said we would, so he needed somebody to pay the price. Okay. Hey, do it. Don't just stop by. Come in the room. We're talking about politics too. But I was just telling him about something that went on this morning. But come on up in here. We want to know what you see and what you know that's going on now. Because I know y'all miss...
That's talking about Donald Trump?
No, well, we were just talking in general. We're not going to just talk about DT. That's what we call him over here. We're just going to talk about the political arena as a whole, how things operate, what's going on, who maybe who he's choosing for his cabinet. I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with what these people have done in past and all of that. But Mr. W is. And so we were talking about Mr. W was saying as he make laws and as he try to pick people for the cabinet and as they go through their vetting and stuff like that, he was saying maybe I can say what I think about them then, or maybe we could say if we don't want them, or if they decide to do some kind of rules or regulations while he's in office, maybe we could write out congressmen and stuff and say, oh, I don't agree with that. Because what I'm saying, as long as they give me social media and I'm able to come on the air, I'm going to have people like Mr. W and Manuel Rodriguez come in and kind of keep me alert on what's going on nationally. And if it's something I want to know about Louisiana, I may even ask Mr. W to look it up for me, or Manuel, or I might ask somebody else. And if it's something I don't agree with in my city, in my area, I want somebody to try to do something about it. But the only way to do that is probably to write letters into Congress. And I was saying that I'm not qualified enough to write no letters that they will pay attention to. So he was saying, maybe you could write the letter. I told him, no, he could write the letter because he on that level. He got a couple degrees and everything. And plus he know about politics. And he know when they decide to do something, if it's something that's going to affect. And what he's saying now is that there's somebody in Texas already trying to allow some land out that they may can purchase or use to put some of the immigrants on to be a holding place before they ship them out. And then we went on to talk about the lady, the president of Mexico, which is a lady, has told him, if you want to ship people from over there, well, I'm going to round up some American citizens that have gotten citizenship or don't have citizenship, and I'm going to ship them back over there. We're going to do tit for tat.
Wow.
And I said, that's going to be a whole big mess. And Mr. W said, yes, ma'am. And some of the other countries, they talk about rounding up immigrants and shipping them back and having somewhere to hold them. Some of these other countries, from my understanding, I don't know, Mr. W might can help me. They have said the same thing, that they're not going to let this happen because Mr. W said when you go to doing this back and forth, that causes something called, what you call it, Mr. W? it costs money to do all that.
Well, not only that, I mean, they have their process and their policies like we do. Our immigration system is backed up because of our court system. They have a similar system. So,
Okay.
It takes, it's just not like you just put somebody there in that air.
Right.
So it's a process.
Right.
So there's a waiting time involved. And how long that waiting time, it could be, no one really knows. However, supposedly, like I mentioned earlier, I got a little bit more detail on it now. The Texas General Land Office is offering DT 1,400 acres Starr County Ranch as a site to build detention centers for his promised mass deportation of undocumented immigrants.
Okay.
So it's an offer at this point. I don't know, when that offer was made, of course. We have no idea of that.
Okay.
But apparently, this offer has been made some time back because this article is dated November the 19th, which is, in 10 more days to be a month. So it's been a while.
Okay. Excuse me. So that's somebody who want to see people deported. So they say, oh, I got the land for you to make camps to put them on. But at the same time, the lady, the president in Mexico said, I ain't with this deportation thing. So before you can let my people come back over here, that's waiting to be probably citizens. Most of them probably are doing everything they're supposed to do the legal way. They just have a process of before they become citizens. So I got some of your people over here. So if you want to play it like that is what I'm hearing her say. Well, then I'll gather your people up, and I guess I'll find me a piece of land if I got enough of them over here and put them on it, and then we'll make an exchange. But even with all of that, from what Mr. W said, all of that is a lot of confusion.
What if Mexico say, I want my land back and take Texas back?
What you got to say about that, Mr. W?
Now, that's not going to happen because we got, borders are international and we, military control that by air, not only by ground. We got jets that control that airspace. So they can venture into the international airspace, but once they venture into our airspace, then we can force them back out or shoot them down. So,
not Papa, not shoot Papa.
They went in G, Mexico. They went in G, Texas. That was Mexico.
Close that door. Okay, I'm sorry. What you say, Mike?
They went in G, Texas. Texas was a part of Mexico.
Right. I understand what you're saying, but Mr. W, you understand what he's saying, why they want to do, why the United States want to do all that foolishness. He's just saying, what if Mexico get to talking about, well, since we got it like this now, and y'all want to make all this big old deal on immigration, well then, go ahead on and give us our continent back. But
yeah, I get that. But that's not going to be in the deal.
Right. It don't work like that, Mike, is what he telling us. But look, y'all, I'm gonna have to go, Mr. W. I hope you can. I don't know. You'll probably be on your little outing tomorrow. But I'm wishing I could get this talking points in between 8 and 10. If you ain't on your little rendezvous, whatever you be doing.
Well, I have to stay mobile.
Yeah, you do.
Move, so I have to go swimming, go to the hot tub. Well, go to the hot tub, then go swimming. And exercise a little bit.
Okay.
Got to keep something going. I don't want things to rust up on me. I can't move them.
Okay. Well, Mr. W, when you're available, why don't you inbox me in case I be in my live, and then I'll come back in and do a special. Okay.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right. Thank you so much. Mike, I'm so glad to have you, but we got to get out of here. I've been on here ever since 6 o'clock this morning. All right. Thank you for coming in, Mike. God bless you. All right. I'm out, Mr. W. Thank you, Lord, for this one as well as it did. I appreciate you, Father, for being in this place. Amen, and amen. May they all enjoy the rest of their day. Okay.